Welcome to a bright summer's day here. It's the middle of August. We're in Hockenheim in Germany at the Formula One circuit, but this is drag racing. All the competitors here are here in serious mood, but Hockenheim always means it's the biggest drag racing party of the year. Come along and join us and let's see what's going on. Well, here in Hockenheim, the man who does it all, runs the race meeting and drives one of the quickest cars, is the German Rico Antes.
It's a good party, it's a good stress, I have fun, everything works fine, we have the right weather, we have enough spectators, we have good traction. We're looking forward to put records here down on the track.
And on top of all that, you've got to drive a 5,000 horsepower car.
Well, that's the fun part. That's what I'm here for, to have a little bit fun.
And it's going really well too, isn't it?
Yeah, finally we have managed to get it a little bit closer to the time that we wanted to have, and now we have something to work from there. And I think everybody in the team now is happy because we know now where we're at, and now we can tune it up there.
Well, another lady looking for good times here at Hockenheim this weekend was Sweden's Vivica Avested. Indeed, on the earlier qualifying, she led the pack with a 5.16. You must be feeling really happy again.
Yes, I am. I mean, John, this for the first time we made a good pass here at Hockenheim, because we always had some problem here. I don't know why. I always used to say that I think the track doesn't like me here at Hockenheim. But I mean, yeah, we are very happy.
Number one qualifier, 5.16.
Yes, we ran 5.16, but I clicked off after 4 seconds. So, I mean, it was a pretty good run.
Great Britain's Gary Page was here once more out of the funny car and back into a top fuel dragster.
Yeah, we had a bit of a problem in the last run. One of the magnetos wasn't working, so it only did that run on on 8 plugs instead of 16. So
a magneto is like a distributor in a car?
Yeah, basically. So it was just, yeah, half the plugs weren't firing. So running what it did with only like 8 plugs instead of 16, it'll pick up an awful lot next time.
Gonna look for the number one spot?
I don't know, Jens was like 5.02, that's real quick. I mean, we want to run a team. If we run somewhere in the teams, that'll be fine. But it doesn't matter, you know, as long as we qualify, you know, race day's another ball game. So.
Well, we're going to watch you. Have fun, Gary.
Thank you.
Well, Gary Page came out for this qualifying run and absolutely stormed the track and took the track record and the number one spot with a 5.15. Great Britain was celebrating. And Gary Page wasn't the only person to celebrate. The crowd here at Hockenheim, this massive crowd, really in a good humour, having seen lots of great qualifying here during the day and looking forward to the evening show as well. Next man up, Denmark, Jens Nebo. Now, Jens is a man who will always aim for the bottom end of the 5-second bracket, and certainly here at Hockenheim was looking for that number one spot. Last year's Top Fuel champion cracks off a 5.23. Not quite the number one spot, but still an excellent qualifying time. This is Finland's Tommi Happinen. Now, Tommi Happinen has had a pretty miserable weekend so far with lots of breakages on the Top Fuel car. Now he's out looking for a qualifying run. And we see him here running alongside Great Britain's Gary Page and runs a 5.35. Well, next man up is the other man from Great Britain, Andy Bad Boy Carter, who's had a lot of problems.
We don't really know exactly what the problem is. At first we thought we didn't have enough on the throttle stop, so we've opened that up now. But now we think it's a problem with the clutch. Clutch not quite locking up on the burnout, but we're still working on that. But it hasn't seemed to hurt the 60-foot times anyway. We run a good 0.9 60 foot.
Well, let's see how he gets on this time, because Andy really has been suffering. He's gone through a change of crew chief in 1996, and that seems to have turned his luck around a little bit, but still, he's looking for optimum performance from this Top Fuel dragster. And away from the start line, he seems to go up in smoke, but puts in a run of 7.21. And at least he's qualified in the number 6 spot. Well, we have a massive field here in Hockenheim of top alcohol cars. They're the smaller brothers and or cousins of the Top Fuel cars, running with engines that produce 2,500 horsepower as opposed to 5,000 horsepower. Here's the man currently leading the European Top Alcohol Challenge. This is Switzerland's Peter Beck, and he was our #1 qualifier here at Hockenheim. Well, it was a 6:02 during qualifying, which earned him the bye run in the first round, and he runs a 6:15, and he'll meet one of these two in the next round. Bearing in mind that Peter Beck is having a great 1996 because he is the current European record holder with a time of 5.90. Heavy stuff, fairly unbeatable, and he arranged to get that little number at Norway Gardermoen's racetrack. Well, the two Valvoline cars running side by side, Lex June from Holland and Peter Kreuzer from Germany, gives the win to Lex June from Holland. He moves on into the next round, having taken the win of 6.27, and the man who won the Cannonball is looking good in 1996. Here's our next pair in the dragster, Anita Michaela from Finland, a lady chasing the 1996 Top Alcohol Championship, and alongside her, Urs Embacher in the ex-Urs Urbacher car from Switzerland. All these Barkers everywhere, and still nobody can Barker Anita Michaela and take the win. She goes through into the next round with a run of 6.10. Well, as you can see, in Top Alcohol, we mix dragsters and Top Alcohol funny cars. The dragsters have smaller engines than the funny cars to compensate for their lack of weight. And in the dragster, from France, Bob Fieler. And in the funny car, the new kid on the block, that's Dan Larsen from Denmark. And Larsen takes the win with a time of 6.12. Great run for him. Well, the man who was the #2 qualifier here is Great Britain's Barry Sheevels. Barry, #2 qualifier, you've not lost that touch, but at the moment, there seems to be an awful lot of people out there doing very, very well.
Yeah, we were, obviously we decided to come over to Hockenheim because we did so well last season here, and just before we came over we realised that quite a lot of cars in Europe are now running 5s, and so we decided to change a few of the combinations in the car to try and get back close to the 5s, and we were really, really pleased. I mean, guys have done a really lot of work over the last couple of weeks, and I'd like to thank all the crew and for their hard work.
Well, he got through on a bye run into the next round, his opponent not showing. And here's our next pair coming up to the start line, creating a lot of smoke. I couldn't agree more. It is so smoky out there. And it's the Pennzoil car closest to the camera of Switzerland's Urs Urbacher from Great Britain in the blue Oldsmobile Achiever. That's Alan Jackson. Now, Jackson was our #10 qualifier, having run a 6.32. And Urs Urbacher was our #7 qualifier, having run a 6.23. So this should be really tight between them. Urbacher, with his all-new car here for 1996, had previously run a 5 in Gardermoen in Norway. But there's problems here for him at Hockenheim, and it's Al Jackson who takes the win for Great Britain at 6.36. Well, funny car and dragster again, and away first it's Sweden's Michael Kagerad, the man who was the #3 qualifier from Linköping in Sweden. In the Mustang, he takes a convincing win of 6.06 over Walter Strobel from Germany. Does this look like a block of cheese to you? It does to me. This is Detso Krivan. Detso's in his Chevrolet Beretta, sponsored by Swiss Cheese, and one of the most unusual paint schemes on the drag racing scene at the moment. Well, he finds himself up against the lightweight dragster of Germany's Peter Schofer, the man who had really showed us all how it was done at the Summer Internationals. And let's just watch that huge wheel stand again from Detso Krivan. That must have shaken every bone in his body. Well, we're heading in towards the evening, and evening time at Hockenheim is party time. The crowd waiting expectantly. Something like 50,000 people come through the gates here for this family-orientated meeting here at Hockenheim. Well, you just wouldn't believe the atmosphere unless you were here. And of course, if you have fast cars and fast motorcycles, a big, big crowd who require entertaining, what do? You go down the road to the local American football club, you remove their cheerleaders, you bring them back here to Hockenheim, and do the crowd love it? do the crowd love it. They absolutely adore the girls. They come along here in these hot rods and custom cars, which form part of the evening show as well. And here's a perfect machine for you if you want to feel sick just standing still. Lots more of that coming your way later on. And also the girls will be here. Once it starts to get dark, once they bring up the lights, the girls will be here to entertain. Well, not only are we going to see the girls in the next part of this show, we'll also be seeing some of the night qualifying for the Pro Modified and for Top Fuel. That's all coming up in part 2. Come back. We're here at Hockenheim for the Nitro Olympics, and we're into the evening qualifying session for the Pro Modified cars. These wild 200 miles per hour, 6-second door slammers with a real mix of cars. Furthest away, the Chevrolet Lumina of Great Britain's Neil Taylor, but closest to the camera, Peter Wacker's 57 Chevrolet Bel Air. Well, Neil Taylor ended up the number 4 qualifier, having run a 7:36, and Peter Wacker ended up the number 8 qualifier with an 8:03. The one thing you get with these cars are these spectacular burnouts, and don't they look great in the rock and roll light? Well, the crew trying to find where their cars are, making their way along the strip with the Rover Coupe, Andy Robinson. And Andy is having a great weekend here in Hockenheim, running some of his best times ever. Alongside him, fellow countryman, that's Gordon Appleton with the 1967 Chevrolet Camaro. Now, Gordon is a man who can run regularly down into that 6-second bracket. Let's see how he gets on today. And running side by side there with Andy Robinson. Robinson records a 7:03 for the number 1 spot, and Gordon Appleton takes the number 2 spot with a 7:04. Speeds of 200 miles per hour. Well, there's the 55 Chevrolet Bel Air of Henry Houston from Holland, and just look at this car. Absolutely wild. A 36 Chevrolet Coupe in the hands of Swiss driver Rolf Amann. Alongside him, another 55 Chevrolet Bel Air in the hands of Marcus Hilt. And those two recalled the following qualifying times. Marcus Hilt was the number 7 man with an 8:04, and Rolf Amann with that supercharged Chevrolet was the number 5 spot with a 7:88. Well, it's getting closer to the evening time, and the hot rods are back with us again. And what a fantastic array of vehicles have come out to play for us here today at Hockenheim. And this isn't a sight you see very often. Cars, trucks and vans coming the wrong way down the drag strip, bringing the girls to introduce us to our evening show. Well, nighttime also means Top Fuel qualifying. And having spoken to one or two of the drivers, and you can see Jens Nevo, always a great favourite with the crowd, waving the Danish flag as he backs up from the burnout through the disco, the rock and roll lights, looking absolutely superb. Having spoken to one or two of the drivers here, they're not too certain about going flat out away from the start line, because at the end of this quarter-mile run, it is absolutely pitch black. We get all the fireworks down this end. They get no light at the top end at all. So that was Andy Carter and Jens Nebo just giving us a flame show away from the start line. Those huge headers full of nitro flames reaching out towards the sky. Vivica Avested, always the darling of the crowd here at Hockenheim, running alongside the man now sponsored by Hesburger, which I understand is the Finnish equivalent of McDonald's. That's Tommy Huppernen. And once again, clicking off at the 8-mile mark and just trickling through at the top end. Well, will Rico Antes do that? Not one little bit of it. Rico came out here for his qualifying run and went absolutely flat out the whole way along the quarter mile and managed to get the number 3 qualifying spot with a run of 5.16. He was really gunning for that number 1 spot of Gary Page. Well, the crowd really appreciated that. That took a lot of courage to do that, and indeed Rico damaged the car severely, taking out the wing, the side swipes and even the canards at the front. But they brought the damaged car back to the start line. All the crews enjoying themselves immensely. Jens Nebo up on top of the wing. The crowd enjoying this, really warming to the antics of these drivers who are now in relaxed mode. Andy Carter also up on top of his car. Looking a little bit pensive about being right up on top of his 5,000 horsepower top fuel dragster. And bringing up the rear, Vivica Avested. And Vivica just saying to everybody here at Hockenheim, thanks for coming along to our evening show. Good night. I'll see you in the morning. And as always here at Hockenheim, the weather stays with this German racetrack. A brilliant sunshiny day greets the first round of Supergas. Now in Supergas, it's a restricted class. They can run as quick as they like along the quarter mile, provided they don't go any quicker than 9.9 seconds. So the idea is you try and leave the start line as soon as the green comes on, as Jim McGee with his Vauxhall Cavalier is doing here. He's against Netherlands' Robert Koper. And the idea is he's got to try and get to the top end first, but not run quicker than 9.9 seconds. And look how close he was then. 9.97 Jim McGee takes the win. John Webster doing the huge wheel stand in the Mercury Comet for Great Britain. Getting to the top end in front of René Meyerhofer from Switzerland. Takes the win with a 10.34. Here's our next pair, and again it's Great Britain against Switzerland. Phil Druitt in the XR3i up against Stefan Winter in the 79 Mustang. It's all about reaction time. It's all about knowing your car. And it's Winter away first. What he doesn't want to do is break out, but it's exactly what he does do. He goes quicker than 9.9. He runs at 9.86. So the win goes to the man who also breaks out, but breaks out by the least. That was Phil Druitt with his run of 9.89. So far, it's all Brits into the next round, and it's going to be all Brits in the semi-finals because Brendan Clancy in the Black Nova and Peter Lane are both from Great Britain, and it's Peter Lane with a Camaro who takes the win, 10.17. Well, we move on to Pro Stock Bike. And once again, Great Britain fields a large contingent here in this particular class. And these bikes bear a passing resemblance to their road-going counterparts. They have Kevlar or fiberglass replica body. They don't have a proper fuel tank. It's all lightweight stuff. Normally aspirated, running highly tuned engines, but not allowed to run on a 4-stroke engine with any nitrous oxide. Well, here's our first pair. The number 1 qualifier closest to the camera, Bernd Dietrich, with his all newly imported bike from the States. Here's Suzuki GSXR taking a very good win there, 7.88. What a stunning run over Dominique Robin from France. Next pair, furthest from the camera, the young lady from Southampton, that's Kerry Visick for Great Britain. Running alongside her is Philippe Ronget from France, and it is Kerry Visick who takes the win, 8.52. Paul Willis in the right-hand lane, running alongside fellow countryman on the Kawasaki, that's Ray Devon. So it's Katana against the ZX-10, and it's a Suzuki Katana of Paul Willis who takes the win, 8.25. And this is our final pair, Thierry Lepine from France on his Suzuki Katana against the GSXR of Southampton's Len Padgett, a man who has been European Pro Stock champion on more than one occasion. And Lepine's away first, but Len Padgett reels him in and takes the win and moves forward into the next round with that run of 8.23. Well, coming up in our second programme from Hockenheim, more racing action from all the classes that you've seen through the semi-finals, into the finals, and finals from all of the classes performing here this weekend. We hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you come back for the second programme. We're here in Hockenheim for the 1996 Nitro Olympics. We're at the track normally used by the Formula One cars, but this weekend, instead of the Formula One teams frequenting the pits, it's packed full of drag racing machinery. The big news is the number 1 qualifier here in Top Fuel is Great Britain's Gary Page. And Page's team very, very confident for this weekend.
You come along here, you snatch number 1 position by 100th of a second, and it's a new track record.
Oh yeah, I mean it was. We knew the car would run well, as I said yesterday when we had a problem with the magneto, so we knew the car would step up, but we didn't think it'd run that quick. It's a different experience. I mean, I've been awake since 4 o'clock this morning, and then it's never got me like that in funny car. So I don't know. It's very different.
Consistency?
Yeah, we haven't changed anything. We've got Andy Carter in the first round. You know, anything can happen, so we're just going to go out there and try and run the same as we did yesterday.
Number 2 qualifier from Sweden, Vivica Avested, with a time of 5.16. The German Rico Antes here on his home turf in the number 3 spot. He obtained that time in the dark last night, causing lots of damage to his car, running a 5.16 into the pitch black. Number 4 qualifier, the current Top Fuel champion Jens Nebo from Denmark, recording a time of 5.23. Tommy Happinen from Finland in 5th spot, and the man down the bottom of the pile, Britain's Andy Carter. And he meets Gary Page in the first round, Vivica Avested, Tommy Happinen from Finland, and the German Rico Antes against the existing Danish champion Jens Nebo. So here they come up to the start line for the first pair, and it is the 2 red cars of the 2 Brits. Gary Page, the 39-year-old air conditioning engineer from Bedfordshire, who must be feeling very, very confident here, having run that 5.15 during qualifying, up against Andy Carter. And of course Carter into Top Fuel Dragsters, now in his 2nd season in this car, and looking to get this car running properly. He's had a lot of problems here at Hockenheim this weekend. Can he match the performance that Gary Page has been turning in Runa Field's Mac Tools sponsored car? And they're away together. But there's a problem for Andy Carter. That's a blower belt going on the Eichel Hoses sponsored machine. Gary Page takes the win, 5.30. And let's just look at that explosion again on Andy Carter's car. That put paid to his challenge. Here's our next pair. Vivica Avested against this man, the Hesburger-sponsored Finnish driver, Tommy Happinen. Happinen was our number 5 qualifier, running a 5.35. Problems this weekend. Vivica, a 5.16. She was leading the pack at one stage with that time, to be eclipsed by Gary Page in 2nd spot in qualifying. Has she got the measure of this man in the opposing lane? And a big explosion from the Valvoline car. She takes the win, 5.22, but there's a lot of damage to that car, and that is a massive engine explosion. These Nitro burning 5,000 horsepower engines absolutely grenading as she makes her way down the quarter mile. Well, here's our next pair. And as Germany's Rico Antes burns out, he knows he's got a real fight on his hands here with the current Top Fuel champion, Jens Nebo, in the opposing lane. Antes tried so hard to get that #1 qualifying spot from Gary Page and drove into the darkness, really damaging his Lux Clutches machine. But now let's see as we come up to the start line. The German furthest away from the camera. It's going to be close. These are our numbers 3 and 4 qualifiers. And it is Rico who takes the win. And it's a track record 5.08. No wonder the team are celebrating along with this massive German crowd here. Very partisan crowd. And let's just look at that again. That is a track record and a best ever time for the German Rico Antes. Let's just have a quick word with him. How happy are you?
I would say, what can you expect? I mean, I'm as happy as one can be that has 3 years jinx on the car, and now finally it's kind of got off my back and left me real good and relaxed on that run, and it went perfect.
It looked a perfect run.
Yeah, it was so smooth. I couldn't believe it was so fast because it felt like it was, well, okay, but not that fast.
Okay, we're into the second round of European Top Alcohol. This is how they shape up. And this is our first pair. Peter Beck from Switzerland in the dragster against the young Dutch driver Lex June, the man, if you remember, who won the Cannonball for Funny Cars in 1996. And they're away together, but Beck really is on a charge here this weekend. Takes a really good win, 5.96 back into the 5 to gain for Peter Beck. Well, he's going to be meeting one of these two in the next round. Another dragster, that's Anita Michaela from Finland, going every which way but straight. And just look at Dan Larson, or the rookie driver in the funny car, crosses over into her lane. She takes the win and moves forward to meet Peter Beck in the next round. And just look at that, Larson having all sorts of steering problems. Well, here's our next pair, dragster and funny car once more, but these are both British drivers. Barry Sheevels, a man who can run down into the 5-second bracket, was our #2 qualifier here against the funny car of Alan Jackson, the Oldsmobile Achiever, and it's Sheevels all the way through, 6.14 takes the win. And let's have a look at our final pair. Another dragster against funny car, Michael Kagerad from Sweden in the funny car, Peter Schofer from Germany in that lightweight Rick Santos powered dragster, and it's Kagerad who takes the win, a 6-0 for him.
You're on 6-0 here at the moment. Any chance of a 5 this weekend?
Yeah, I think we had got the 5 yesterday if the clutch has hooked up on the second gear. So we are going to try again now. The same combination with a little more weight on the clutch and see what's happened.
How do you find the track? Is the track good?
Yeah, the track is good. Very good.
Enjoy yourself, Mickey.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, we move on into the first round of Pro Modified. The big news here this weekend, Andy Robinson from Great Britain in the Rover Coupe is the #1 qualifier at 7.03. And in the first round, he meets the Netherlands, Henry Houston, with his Chevrolet Bel Air. Well, as always, smoky burnouts from these 200 miles per hour 6-second door slammers. Henry Houston, though, lots of problems for him. He broke during qualifying last night, and the car has let him down again. The car being pushed back behind the start line. Problems for him. He's out of the race, so it's going to be a solo run then for Great Britain's Andy Robinson. Don't forget, he was our #1 qualifier. He ran a 7.03. And on his own, without a pace car, what's he going to run? Into the 6s for the first time. Andy Robinson, well done, 6.95. What a stunning run from him. As we look at our next pair, that with the smoky burnout is Great Britain's Neil Taylor and Rolf Amann saying, hey, which way's the track? This is a 36 blown Chevrolet Coupe. Absolutely beautiful looking car, stunning the crowd here this weekend. And here we go then, it's Switzerland with the Coupe against the Chevrolet Lumina from Great Britain of Neil Taylor. Taylor was our #4 qualifier, Rolf Amann was our #5, so not much to choose between them on qualifying times, but it's Taylor all the way through. Neil Taylor takes the win, 7.13. He meets Andy Robinson in the next round. Well, if you like classic American cars, Pro Modified has got to be for you. Gordon Appleton with his Chevrolet Camaro in the left-hand lane. Marcus Hilt from Switzerland with his Chevrolet Bel Air in the opposing lane. And it looked to me as though Hilt was away first. But the power of this Camaro turning on the top, a big explosion for Marcus Hilt. He loses the race, 7:48 takes the win for Gordon Appleton, but a big lot of engine damage for Marcus Hilt. It's Chevrolet Bel Airs everywhere, isn't it? Peter Wacker from Switzerland against this man from Great Britain. This is Nick Davis in his Oldsmobile Cutlass. Nick was our number 3 qualifier, having run a 7.30 with his supporters firmly behind him. Is he going to overcome Peter Wacker? Let's watch him as they come up to the start line. And that looked to me, yeah, Nick Davis jumped the start line. The red light coming on in that left-hand lane. He's automatically disqualified. The win goes to Peter Wacker with the Chevrolet Bel Air at 8.21. And let's just see that again. That little hop step and a jump across the start line said it all for Nick Davis. He's out of competition. Well, when you're in Germany, there's a car for the people. It's the people's car, of course, the Volkswagen Beetle, taking us up to the break. And will there be more non-stop action in part 2 from the Nitro Olympics here at Hockenheim. Hockenheim and the Nitro Olympics, and it's time for all of the semi-finals. Such great action the crowd have seen here this weekend. And first of all, we're into Supergas, where it is the onslaught of the British, as the Germans have been calling it all weekend. It's all Brits in the semi-final. And this is our first pair, the Nightmare Cavalier of Scotsman Jim McGee, up against the man the Germans have called the Wheelie King here this weekend, John Webster. I wonder why they call him that. So away from the start line, looking for 0.4 reaction times, and that's the reason they're calling him the Wheelie King. Webster away first. But now Jim McGee coming back with that Cavalier as they head towards the top end. It's McGee on the finish line, takes the win. He had to run as close to 9.9 as he could and runs 9.94. And the two other Brits in the other semi-final, Peter Lane with his Camaro. The man from London up against Phil Druitt from Melksham near Bristol with the XR3i and a red light for Phil Druitt. He's out of competition. It's Peter Lane automatically getting the win. The Camaro working really well this weekend. So the final puts a Cavalier against the Camaro. Well, in Pro Stock Bike, it's not quite all British in the semi-finals, but there are 3 Brits and 1 German. And our first pair coming to the line puts Bernd Dietrich from Germany up against a young lady from Southampton, Kerry Visick, on her Suzuki GSXR. Well, Kerry's had a good weekend here. She was our number 4 qualifier, having run an 8.24. But Bernd Dietrich really is going to be very, very difficult to beat. An all newly imported from America, Suzuki. He was our number 1 qualifier, 7.93. And that power of that new machine really telling for the German. Takes the win, 7.88. That's just getting quicker and quicker. Well, our second pair puts Great Britain against Great Britain. Len Padgett furthest away from the camera against Paul Willis. Both of them Suzuki mounted. Wow, that was close. The win going to Len Padgett with a time of 8.27. But on that finish line, it was so very, very close. Padgett just nicked across the line and took the win. Well, we move into Pro Modifieds, the semi-finals there. And the first pair puts Brit against Brit. Andy Robinson with the Rover meets Neil Taylor with this Chevrolet Lumina. And as always, those tremendous smoke burnouts from the 2 cars. Coming up to the start line. Well, Robinson really been doing well here this weekend. Can he hold off a charge from Neil Taylor? Taylor running down the bottom end of the 7-second bracket, but of course Robinson for the first time ever into the 60s this weekend. Robinson away first. And charging so hard in that Rover. Neil Taylor fighting hard to come back, but just cannot match the 6-second reliability now, 6.97. He takes the win. As our next pair come up to the line, that's Peter Wacker with the Chevrolet burning out. And from Great Britain, the Camaro of Gordon Appleton. And Appleton loses fire during the burnout. They're going to have to get to that car quickly to restart it, and whilst they're trying to restart the car, Peter Wacker's got into stage, and they're just trying to get Appleton up, but it's too late. The lights turned down for Gordon Appleton. He was too late getting into stage. Peter Wacker with the Chevrolet Bel Air takes the win. Now, whether that was classed as good sportsmanship or not, I don't know, but certainly it was a good run for Peter Wacker from the start line, wheels up in the air. Now let's move on to the semi-finals of Top Alcohol, and really the heavy hitters are here. Barry Sheevels, Michael Kagrad, Anita Michaela and Peter Beck, and it's those two that we look at first of all. Here's Anita Michaela. This is Peter Beck, and Anita with the Buracap sponsored car backs up. Well, she is after the 1996 European Championship. Michael Kagrad, of course, holds the existing #1 plate, but she needs to overcome this man who is on a challenge here this weekend. Peter Beck really has been looking so very, very solid with all of his runs, and it's Beck who takes the win. 6.02. What a stunning run. Very, very close indeed. Lose out to Anita Michaela was just 6.09. Here's our next pair. Barry Sheevels from Great Britain against his adversary of old, Michael Kagrad with the Mustang funny car. Well, Sheevels looking to put in a good run for the big British contingent, which have made their way to Hockenheim here this weekend, sponsored by Wins and Red Stripe. And he's away first, but he's away first because he's red lit. Barry Sheevels is out. Automatically, it's Michael Kagrad who takes the win, 6.02. And let's just have a look at that red light for Barry Sheevels once more. So clearly he went before the green came on. Okay, we're now into the semi-finals of Top Fuel, and this is becoming interesting now. Rico Antes, who this weekend has run his quickest ever at 5.08, meets Vivica Avested from Sweden, who has previously run in this car in America a 5.03 and in the UK a 5.05, but she had a lot of problems in that preceding run. There was an engine explosion. She's out of the car. Well, this is a turn up for the book. She's lost far on the start line, so it's a solo run through for Rico Antes, and he is not hanging about at all. Runs a 5.18, and Vivica acknowledging the cheers of this big, big crowd here. Well, that's drag racing. And Gary Page. Gary was our #1 qualifier from Great Britain on a solo run through into the final, where he now makes it an Anglo-German tussle. That run of 6.28 takes him there. Okay, so let's have a look at all of the other finals while our 5 major classes prepare for their battles. Finals here at Hockenheim, and what a hectic weekend it's been for everybody. We're starting off with Supergas, and once more almost a repeat of 1995, where the big Supergas contingent came over to Hockenheim for the 1995 Nitro Olympics. It's all Brits in the final. Jim McGee with the Cavalier against Peter Lane with the Camaro. And certainly Jim McGee is showing a turn of form here. He's got a new Jeff Bull engine in there this weekend and has looked so good all weekend long. But can he hold Peter Lane? It's Lane who gets there first. He takes the win, 9.94. And he was in front from the start line. Peter Lane takes a worthy win. Well, we move into the final of Pro Stock Bike. And Pro Stock Bike puts Germany against Great Britain and puts GSXR Suzuki against GSXR Suzuki. Len Paget from Southampton and Bernd Dietrich from Villingen in Germany. Well, these two are going to battle it out. Certainly it's Paget with the hill to climb here, and he gets a good start. Paget away first. But Dietrich, the power of that new machine, just takes him out in front, and it's another 7-second run, 7.87. Len Paget tried his hardest but couldn't match the power. Okay, Pro Modifieds. And Andy Robinson from Great Britain finds himself up against Peter Wacker from Switzerland in the final. Well, Wacker got through to this round with a run of 8.29. And Andy Robinson, yeah, the crowds love these smoky burnouts. Andy Robinson with his beautiful 800 series Rover Coupe got into this round with a run of 6.97. And once again, I think Peter Wacker was trying to get into stage first before Andy Robinson got there, but Robinson wasn't having any of it. Charges through, taking the win, 7.08. And that was a convincing win from the man who builds the car and then races it himself. Well, we're getting near to the close now, and it's top alcohol for the European Championship. And this puts Michael Kagaran from Sweden, the existing champion, against this man from Switzerland, Peter Beck with the dragster. Well, I certainly wouldn't like to put money on either one of these two. Both of them can run into the fives. They both did that at Gardermoen in Norway. Both of them have been running very low 6-second and 5-second runs here this weekend. It's going to be close. Look at this at the top end. It is Peter Beck who just takes the win, 6.02 to Michael Kagarad's 6.05. Great racing, top alcohol style. And the big one, Top Fuel final, looking for points in the 1996 championship. And can the German do it in front of his home crowd? Everybody sitting in this crowd here with their fingers crossed. Rico Antes, the man who produces the show here, up against Great Britain's Gary Page, and certainly a difference in burnout there. Rico going with that long, smoky burnout. Gary, I wonder if there's a problem with the red dragster. They're away together. Rico out in front. And that's the blower belt come out for Gary Page's car. He's lost. It's Rico who takes the win, 5.40. That's what gave Gary all of the problems, the broken blower belt. And are the German crowd happy? You bet they are. Well, at last he's done it in front of his home crowd. Rico Antes takes the honours here at Hockenheim 1996. And let's let the winner talk us out of our programme. You are so happy. I have never seen you this happy, this pumped up. It was a good run for you as well.
Yeah, and I still don't believe that time of 5:40. The car sounded good. It ran all the way. It was pulling hard, and I can't believe it ran only a 5:40. I don't know what was it.
You didn't get the official European record. You didn't quite back it up, but you've got the track record here. That must make your whole weekend for you.
Sure, that makes the whole week and more than that.
Hockenheim next year. Going to be there?
Oh, sure. I will be there. I hope you will be there.
We'll be there. Everyone will be there. Rico Antes, well done.
Thank you. Bye-bye.